Well, hello, everybody. My name is Peter Kelly. Thanks for joining our webinar today. I'm from DXC. I'm an senior account executive here at DXC. Today, we're presenting what's called Contactless Delivery, rethinking your retail strategies in today's business environment. It's going to be presented by our teams at DXC and our partner Glympse. Just a little housekeeping note before we get started. If anyone has any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your control panel, and we'll answer them during our Q&A session at the end of the session. If we're not able to answer all of your questions, we'll get back to you via email or your communication of choice. Just please let us know. Again, hope everyone is safe and doing well. Today's recording is going to be recorded, and we will make it available after the webinar. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our presenters, and be well, everyone. Take care.
Thank you very much, Peter. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Stroop. I'm Director of Sales for Consumer and Retail at DXC Technology. For those that don't know, DXC Technology is a leading global systems integrator. Our focus, is quite across the board, but where I focus and my team focuses is within the Microsoft Dynamics world. So with that, I'll hand over to Deshaun.
Yes, so I'm Deshaun Wilson. I'm the Global Retail Lead and Office Manager. I'm working alongside with Nick. So my responsibilities around for DXC for our Microsoft practice, go-to-market, thought leadership, and also IP, working with partners such as Glympse to bring solutions to the retail industry.
Hey everybody, Rob Foley here at Glympse. I lead customer operations. And today I'll be walking through kind of Glympse's perspective on delivery and curbside. Glympse is a location platform. We provide best-in-class customer experiences across a number of different use cases, but primarily delivery and curbside pickup.
Great. Thank you, guys. So as we get into this, what we wanted to do is set the scene, and the topic we're here to discuss is that contactless delivery. But really, why are we discussing that topic today? Really, it's we've all seen what's been happening, the craziness of COVID and everything that's been impacting retailers and other businesses alike. And so what we wanted to kind of just do is set the scene very quickly on the retail industry and consumer goods industry and the impact that really has come out, right? So when we think about it, the areas that we're really seeing the biggest changes in, the concept of essential retail. What is essential retail? It's kind of a new definition really in a lot of our minds, but really it's about, those that need to be on the front lines right now to support the consumers that need their groceries, need their pharmacy goods and those sorts of things, and what we see as essential businesses. That obviously has an impact on the evolving employee, right? So how do we address our employee needs, but also the shifting needs to make or give our employees the capability to work remotely and in more distributed models. We've also seen a massive jump or a massive increase in the e-commerce demand. With storefronts being closed, a lot of our retail customers are having to move to a more digital-based model, and really that's driven by the shifting consumer behavior, but also the shifting government requirements that are pushing customers and pushing retailers to drive all channels through their digital channels. So we'll talk a bit about that. And also what impact that has had on the supply chain. What our customers or your customers need to do to understand, is the inventory or the products that they're looking for when they do go out to the stores, is that going to be there? Do they need to work out ways that they can avoid unnecessary trips, not finding the products that they need? So a lot of the supply chain and downstream impacts have been pretty apparent, and we've seen those in the news as well. Deshaun?
All right, so let's take a macro view to get context, as Nick talked about. So I like to look at it at three sides. This is supply chain side, demand side, and then the safety. So when you look at COVID has exposed the fragility of the supply chain. Borders are closed, transportation network capacity has been reduced, less is being made, plants are closed, raw materials and ingredients are hard to find. So what we're seeing are acute shortages in staple items, but also the capability for the supply chain to adapt to the situation. On the demand side, people are home with stay-at-home orders. They cook more. So there's an acute demand for grocery and staple items. and these are at unprecedented levels. Also, with respect to safety, there was a recent Washington Post and University of Maryland poll that indicated that while 56% of Americans are feel comfortable in going to essential retailers, only 67% were not comfortable in going to other types of retail, and 78% were not comfortable going to restaurants. So with respect to safety, there's a challenge in terms of adhering to stay-at-home orders, social distancing, and explicit rules around retailing, including in some states, the only way you can retail is through curbside pickup. And this is for the benefit for not just for customers, but also associates.
Thanks, Deshaun. So when we look at it, McKinsey put out a study around a three-part response to COVID, and it's really broken into how we navigate the now, how we plan the comeback, and how we shape the new norm. So if we quickly touch on a couple of those points. So if we're navigating the now, it's about standing up a crisis response, it's about protecting our employees, and it's also about stressing customer safety, to exactly what Deshaun just mentioned. Really, how do we get customers back out, after the things, stores start to open and states start to open back up with the comfort that they need to be able to get back out there and come and shop in the stores and, everything. So, really, there's also a focus on how we manage cash, right? As businesses, we need to stay afloat. We need to support the customers after the fact. So navigating the now is about looking at the near-term flexibility and going on the offense in terms of our cash management. And then there's also an aspect of reorienting the business, how we use the time now to amplify our digital strategy to optimize our inventory and strengthen our supply chain for when we plan for the comeback, right? And what that is about is building a recovery strategy. How we maintain financial resilience with also that strategic and go on the offense approach. It's also about thinking about our business portfolio and maybe divesting some stores or focusing on new strategic areas and looking at the market opportunities that are out there that we will actually be talking about today, and how we work with new channels and new markets to be able to address our customers' needs as they will be changing. And then as we shape the new norm, it really is that that shift in sentiment and behavior that us as retailers, you as retailers need to be able to understand and pivot your businesses to be able to support that and give our customers the confidence to keep purchasing with you. And really a big part is also the ideating on how you evolve your products and services in the new norm. And that's a lot about what Rob and the team at Glympse are going to talk about today. We did want to just also say that this will end, right? We are all in this together. As we've seen, some more and more states are beginning to look at plans around how we reopen, and really the key is for all of us to come out better on the other side and stronger on the other side. So we hope what we're going to show you today is maybe some ideas around how you can work within your businesses to come out stronger on the other side as well. And really where we see the catalyst for improvement, it really is around expanding sales channels, creating a more automated supply chain, leveraging, strategic partnerships and just ultimately becoming more efficient within your businesses as well. And a lot of the capabilities that DXC bring to bear, as well as what Glympse is going to talk about today, will help you along that journey.
So let's talk about, so Nick talked earlier about reorienting to business, executing on a digital strategy, quite frankly, aligning with reopening approach and the new norm. So how do we efficiently do that? So what we're seeing globally, not just in North America, but globally, are some heavily sought after and used capabilities. And you guys can read the chart, but there are a couple of capabilities that I do want to highlight. So really the first one, and especially for retail in general, as folks are shifting to Amazon, but how do you sell without the storefront? So you see the capabilities around the e-commerce platform, the different channels around consumer mobile apps and social business. But I think it's important that retailers begin to diversify, not just the store is dead, because the store will come back. But I think we've seen the need to diversify the channels to which retailers actually not just sell, but engage with customers, okay? You know, around dark stores. So we've seen that now, the concept, especially with curbside pickup, is that folks cannot enter your store. So in Europe, this is a big deal. So how do I enable my store, if I do have an e-commerce or web platform, to, as a fulfillment channel, to be able to actually get goods to customers for either delivery or curbside pickup? Again, with the concept of delivery, how do I deal with same day, or quite frankly, within the hour, especially in the urban centers where folks are looking for staple items. They don't want it tomorrow. They don't want it in 2 or 3 days. They need it now. So how do I shift without having a huge expense, be able to get staple or desired goods to products? And obviously there's a focus on the last mile. And obviously there's a need with, as stores open, how do we get more of a contactless, frictionless checkout? That's going to be key, because even until there's a vaccine, folks are not going to want to actually physically, socially interact or touch each other. So how do we get to a more efficient but yet relevant shopping experience from a frictionless and contactless checkout?
It's kind of a great segue into the next part of our conversation. So Rob is about to take you through, how Glympse has seen the world, from a last mile, but also from a contactless, or what we call touchless, approach to a customer interaction. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Rob, and he's going to take you through, how Glympse fulfills some of the requirements that you might be very interested in today.
Okay, so hi everybody, Rob back here again, just to take you through the Glympse portion of the webinar. So really going to start off by talking about just state of the union on where things are with regards retail and what we've been seeing from our sides. And the last 2 months have certainly been unprecedented for everybody, including our customers, as they've had to really rapidly adapt their businesses to social distancing guidelines and general permanent changes in customer behavior. And some of the stats have really been staggering. So goes without saying that foot traffic has decreased to the stores, even for those that have stayed open, those essential businesses. People don't want to do that because it's not a very pleasant experience. Contrast that to the number of online ordering that has increased, in fact, over 210% that we've seen. And the fact that all these kind of new users or new people ordering have said, 43% of them have said they'll continue using these online like delivery services and curbside post-pandemic. So it's really interesting just to see the sheer volumes and changes of behavior. And even on the curbside, we've seen just a massive increase in the number of businesses that are now offering curbside pickup. As we all know, it's now been mandated in a lot of states as a prerequisite for opening up. So what does this really mean for businesses? It really means in the new normal that businesses are rethinking all their interactions with customers to ensure that they're safe, seamless, and most importantly, contactless. So, deliveries can be left at the door, pickups can be put in a trunk, and even checking in for an appointment, right? For example, a salon or a clinic now needs to be all done in a contactless and more of a safe way. So over the next couple of slides, we'll really talk about how can businesses facilitate these contactless experiences while providing a really high level of service and communication with those customers. So I'm going to break the sections down into 2 pieces, one to cover contactless delivery, and the next one to cover curbside, contactless curbside. So when we think about contactless delivery in general, we're going to focus on a couple of themes, really thinking about how are you being ultra communicative with customers throughout the process, setting their expectations early and ensuring they have visibility across any channel. We'll also focus on last mile communication, including with the delivery driver where required. So really fine-tuning the last mile transaction. And underpinning all of this is obviously doing all this while maintaining CDC social guidelines for distancing and reducing the transaction time between both the driver and the customer. So really kicking things off with that first ingredient is proactive customer notifications. So being able to inform customers of an upcoming delivery on their channel of choice, but also being able to educate them of what to expect during the delivery. So you can see in the example here, there's a banner that says, "We follow CDC guidelines. Your delivery will be contactless. Click here to learn more." So you're really setting the stage for those consumers on really what to expect as part of the overall experience. And then when the item's actually out for delivery, a really key ingredient is providing a live map, an ETA, of exactly where that delivery driver is. So really keeping the user or the customer informed as to exactly, how long that delivery is going to be until it arrives at their door. And this experience should really be accessible on any device. And again, further opportunity here to educate the customer on the no contact process, as you can see on the banner here at the bottom of the map. And also crucial to this experience is notifying the customer when that driver does arrive. So almost like an arrival notification or a virtual doorbell, really critical to making this whole thing seamless and safe for the customer, especially where it's an item that needs to be signed for, or it's perishable goods like a hot pizza, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I did talk about multi-channel, and really when you think about demographics of end customers, they really are across the spectrum in terms of how they may access and want updates about a given delivery. So on one side, you could have the real tech savvy, millennial users that will use an app for everything, and that's where they're going to get their updates. But on the other end of the spectrum, you may have elderly people, right, for grocery or pharmaceutical deliveries who aren't using apps or even SMS, and they may pick up the phone to call a call center. So being able to serve them with real-time information at that touch point as well is very important. Then as we think about and as we see chatbots, they're really becoming mainstream, and we're seeing them in a lot of places. And they provide another great channel to provide these real-time updates and status. We do see a lot of people going to support portals now, and the first thing they'll be interacting with is a chatbot before they connect to a live agent. And it's just a nice way to further deflect and get people information. And finally, voice assistants. We see it a lot where they're really becoming mainstream. As everybody knows, Alexas and Google Homes are in everybody's houses now, and people are interacting more and more with them to get updates on products and services and statuses like, when is my Safeway order arriving? And as I mentioned, as we think about the last mile, especially as that driver is pulling, getting close to the home, the ETA is dropping 5 minutes, 2 minutes, being able to communicate or facilitate that communication in a low touch way between the customer and the driver is really critical. So you can see the example here of, "Please leave the groceries by my side door, thank you," right? Being able to communicate and get that message to a driver in real time is really critical because it assists with the coordination of that delivery, and more importantly, reduces the interaction times between the driver and the customer. So it's a really nice way to draw out that experience and make it more contactless. And then as you think about after the delivery has happened, the ability to provide real-time feedback on the experience we've seen is also very crucial. So for example, being able to rate the delivery as 1 of 5 stars and maybe put in a comment, but also a checkbox that says, "I'd like to be contacted about my delivery today," so that somebody can reach out to the customer, get their feedback, and maybe pass that feedback on to the driver. So you're really helping to close the loop on maybe the driver wasn't safe, they weren't wearing their personal protective equipment or whatever else. So it's a nice way in real time to take corrective measures on exactly how to fix that whole experience as part of the process. And we thought it'd be nice just to talk about one of our customers and how they facilitated no contact delivery. So Papa John's are don't need any introduction, but they were very quick to roll out contactless delivery when this whole pandemic really started to take hold. And they provided really nice, clear, concise, this is a screenshot from their website on exactly how they facilitate contactless deliveries. So you can see as a user, you can kind of opt in. You can even leave tips online to further make it contactless, so you're not exchanging, money. And what they do is they provide a seal on the box. They set it up at your door. They ring the doorbell, and they just stand back 6 feet, and they allow for the customer to exchange and get their item. But underpinning all of that is the ability for that customer to be able to see in real time exactly where that driver is. So as they're pulling up, being able to know that not only have they left the store and here's where they are in real time in their ETA, but also when they've arrived at the customer's home, really just tightens the whole process itself. So that kind of really covers the contactless delivery section. And now we're going to dive into contactless pickup. And what do we see as the key ingredients here? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, what we've seen is phenomenal growth as a ton of businesses rapidly roll out curbside pickup. And as I mentioned, in some cases like California and even Washington, where some businesses can open up, like retail, as long as they have curbside pickup as part of what they're opening up with. So basically, we're going to kind of follow the same format here of what do we see as the same as the key ingredients to contactless curbside pickup. And as you'll see with delivery, a lot of it's around setting expectations with customers up front, providing transparency, in this case to the business, about where the customers are, when they've arrived and how long they've been waiting, and providing flexible options to customers on how they can let businesses know. Sure, it can be through an app, and it can even be real-time location sharing, but there's also other options that we'll talk about that are maybe being powered through mobile web type experiences of users checking in and doing it that way. So as I mentioned, setting expectations up front is really, really crucial. You can see the example here of a banner saying, buy online, look for an email, drive to the store, check in and stay in your vehicle, right, and learn more. So setting expectations up front, again, communicating with customers on their channel of choice, be that email or SMS or a push notification to an app. And again, timely notifications, right? So it could be when your order is placed, but also when it's ready for pickup, reminding that user, hey, you should leave now to go and get that item. And here are the instructions of what to do when you do pull up to the business. Arrival alerts, intelligent arrival alerts, we feel are very crucial ingredient to the whole contactless curbside pickup. And when you think about this, it's really the ability of a business to know in an automated way when the customer is arriving and what their ETA is. Now, think about that, especially for restaurants or perishable items. It's really crucial to know not only what their ETA is, but exactly when they've arrived, so you can facilitate the handoff in a really, really good way. And so a flexible framework that allows you to configure these rules based off of a lot of different contexts, like geography, or I want just 2 notifications, or I want to trigger one when the user is 5 miles away or 10 minutes out, is really crucial as part of this. And that's where you get into the real the automated side of being able to trigger the intent to the business of where is that user and have they arrived. And further dialing that in when the customer does pull up to the business, being able to accurately detect that arrival using accurate geofencing technology, we feel is really, really key. Because what you want to try and avoid is false positives of a customer that's maybe pulled up to the gas station here in the graphic and not the actual curbside area. And you don't want to say, hey, welcome, you've arrived, when they actually haven't arrived. And drilling that down even further, being able to say, we know what stall number you've parked in, versus having the customer, call a number on a sign and actually tell the business what number they're in. So as much as you can really automate this and make it as seamless as possible, the better it's going to be for everybody concerned. Here again, I mentioned even for delivery, low touch communication, the ability of a customer to be able to communicate with the business. So you can imagine a customer that's waiting in the curbside area. Maybe they're waiting to go into a business because it's a retail service business like a salon or a clinic, and being able to chat with the business back and forth of, hey, I'm here waiting. Just wondered if Sarah would be available at same time next week. Sure thing. So it's a nice way to facilitate that near field communication with that business while they're there. So it's just another really crucial ingredient as part of the overall process. And then when we think about how are you notifying the store of the statuses of these customers as they're making their way in or as they've arrived, you really have to think about many different options of how those in-store operations staff are going to use this visibility. So you may have a kiosk, as you can see at the top, which is almost like an arrivals board at an airport that you see of, hey, here's all of the pickups for the store and their various statuses. So you can see some users on the way, some have arrived. You're even color coding some of the arrivals based off of how long they've been waiting. But you may also want to augment existing apps that are being used. Like, for example, if there's already a click and collect app that's being used to get signatures or mark items as ready for pickup, then you'll want to augment that app with this information as well, because you don't really want people to be using too many apps, right? You want to make it as seamless as possible. And last but not least, really data insights. So the more you can learn about your business through data in terms of how are we doing, on average, how long are customers waiting before an item actually gets delivered to their vehicle? What's their typical ETA to the store? How many pickups are we processing a day? So things like that are really crucial to getting that operational data insight to be able to help fine tune and actually improve the overall process itself. And sticking with the same format and actually concluding this section, we thought it'd be nice just to talk about a customer of ours that is doing seamless curbside and contactless curbside pickup. So Albertsons and Safeway, one of their banners has the ability through their mobile application for a user to order groceries and say that they're going to pick them up from the store. But when the item's ready for pickup, the customer will get an SMS or a push notification that says your order is ready for pickup. Send your ETA to the store. And what they do is a one-click action to share their location temporarily with the business so that the business knows exactly where that user is, what their ETA is, and when they arrived, all automatically. And as I said, it is temporary location sharing, so it stops as soon as they've arrived. But it's a really nice, seamless way for Albertsons to know, the business to know exactly when these customers have arrived, and they can be right out with the orders. And you can see they've even incorporated the ability to message the business at the end as well. So that's a really good example of how you can make the entire process automatic from the user's perspective. They just have to click a button. But as I mentioned, there are other options that can be powered via SMS and mobile web, where maybe they're manually setting an ETA or manually clicking that they've arrived. And that is the end of my section. Thank you for listening.
So with that, we wanted to open up for any questions. I saw one question at the moment come in from line. And I think this is one for you, Rob. Mm-hmm. How do you interact with routing software, and how do you handle dynamic route changes, e.g. a dynamic pickup for a driver who has a drop-off close by?
Yeah. So yeah, typically a lot of the routing decisions and those changes will happen upstream from us. So as long as Glympse is really kept up to date of all those in-day changes that happen, for example, a new stop is added, as long as we have a way to contact that, maybe it's a new customer, we'll be able to enable the same type of journey for them. But we do see that a lot with a lot of our customers where a route that had been planned the night before will invariably change throughout the day, including additions to that route. We also have, the other, I guess, use cases could be where there's an exception, a missed delivery, where the driver will actually go back and try and re-deliver that later on in the day. And again, as long as we're aware of that through our API, there's an update, we'll now provide maybe not even a live map to that customer, maybe it's a prior screen, but we'll be able to effectively keep the customer updated as to those changes. Same goes for any cancellations or any other edge cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the another piece to that is depending on the routing software itself, does it handle dynamic routing? In the Microsoft Dynamics world, for instance, leveraging the field service capabilities and some extensions onto that, there is great capability for dynamic routing as well. So if it's about integrating with existing software or looking for software that provides those capabilities, I think we can answer both of those questions. See another question in the chat. How would you integrate between Glympse and Dynamics AX? So that's probably a combination of Rob and Deshaun there.
Deshaun, I'll let you maybe go ahead on that.
So it's going to really depend on what the use case is in terms of what capabilities you want to provide. As Nick just talked about, from a field service perspective in CE, we can manage it through that. Also, if you're going directly via commerce, being able to use CRT and be able to actually integrate orders, because if you're going to let the fulfillment be handled through Glympse, there's that aspect. But also, if you're going to handle fulfillment through commerce, then there's a different set of interfaces or integration. So it really depends on, I'm going to say, the requirement and what functions you want to do where. But there are mechanisms and ways that we can integrate the two products together.
A couple of more questions. How quickly can you get customers up and running? I know how many brands are looking for and needing these solutions today.
Yeah, so that's the good thing, and I'll really speak from, I guess, curbside and then a delivery perspective. I assume it may be more curbside focused, the question, but the really good thing is we can enable a very kind of seamless walk before you can run experience for businesses. So if you think about from a minimum, what do we need perspective, we just need an integration between the POS and ourselves to know about a pickup object or a pickup request. As long as we have that information and we have a way to contact the customer, then we can enable if you think about an SMS and a mobile web type experience for those customers to go and indicate that, that they're on the way and that they've arrived. So it's just a nice, quick way to get started. As that progresses, if you think about another phase to that, it could be an SDK integration with an app that allows for more seamless, sharing of the customer's location with the business. But yeah, in the first instance, it is very quick, and it's something that we can get up and running fast. And on the delivery side as well, if you think about the ingredients of what does Glympse need to enable this experience, as long as we know about the delivery, the upcoming event, and who it's assigned to, as in which delivery driver, we can very quickly enable a driver either with a custom-built Glympse app, or ideally an app that they're already using for delivery with our SDK to allow them to share location with the customer. So, but it would definitely depend on what delivery solutions being used by those drivers.
Yeah, and I would add, outside of the Glympse component there, if you're looking, for that end-to-end solution, including the routing, including the order management and delivery capabilities, DXC, using Dynamics as the foundation, has some fast-track options to kind of get our customers moving as quickly as possible. So completing that full circle between Dynamics and Glympse, we can really stand up things as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I also want to throw in from an operational perspective, because the question was also how fast a retailer can go. Because there's a piece where, especially if you're not or have not done curbside pickup today, if you don't have the proper procedures in place, not just from a safety, but from an experience perspective, you can ruin the whole experience for the customer. So that's also important from a change management perspective, that's also incorporated in any time frame that you have in terms of getting something out fast. So there is the quick and dirty, but we have to make sure that quick and dirty doesn't impact the experience.
Thanks to Sean. And that's all the questions I see. Have we seen, team, any more come through that I'm not seeing?
No, Nick, that's all the questions.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. We hope it was an informative session. If there is any follow-up, please do use the contact on the screen for any additional questions that you may have. If you want us to reach back out quickly, please let us know, and we will address those as they come in and get back to you, and hopefully help you facilitate these kind of capabilities within your business and for your customers. With that, once again, we do appreciate your time today, and please let us know if you need anything. Thank you.